Hi, welcome everybody. It's Mike Newton in the swing studio here at Lytham Golf Academy. We've just got a little video here for you, and just to look at tee height with a driver. Now, many pupils I get through the studio here tee at very different heights, and obviously different size driver heads make a difference of how high you hit it, and also where on the face you're actually going to strike it. But you've also got to measure in how you actually attack the golf ball. In terms of your angle of attack into impact. So obviously there's a lot of different tee heights on the market. I've just got a couple here. I'm just going to use these Castle tees here because they set it at a consistent height. So obviously got the really tall one, a mid one, and a really sort of low one here. So I'm going to maybe hit a couple of shots here with a low one and a high one. See where we strike on the face and see how that can possibly then affect spin, launch, and also total distance.
Okay, so we're going to start off with the white tee here, which is quite a low tee nowadays for the modern driver that are fairly sort of deep in the face. White tee's maybe a little bit low. So if I get this camera right down here, so we can see that it's only like probably a quarter of the ball sat above the actual driver head. Now, obviously we want to be hitting slightly on the upward blow. Okay, so depending on what your angle of attack is into the golf ball, generally speaking, this tee height is much too low. So strikes are more often than not going to be into the bottom of the club face. So looking from the back angle there, again you can see maybe just quarter of the ball sat above here. So again, as this club's on its upward blow, it's probably going to strike low in the face. Now if we strike low in the face, the spin of the golf ball in terms of the backspin generally goes up. Okay, and we create sort of a lower launch but a very sort of weak ball flight which could lose a lot of distance. So we're going to hit a shot with this tee here. Now I generally hit sort of 2 to 3 degrees on the up, more around the sort of 2 mark. So I would personally feel this is too low, but let's hit a shot, see where I strike it, see what the spin number is, and then we'll change it to a different tee.
Yeah, I mean that felt a fairly good strike. It did feel low in the face. Ball flight looked pretty good there, to be honest. It looked that sort of low sort of flight, penetrating flight there, but I think when we maybe look at some spin numbers there, I know it was a low in the face strike, visually it looked quite appealing, so most golfers will look at that ball flight and think, yeah, well, I like that looks to be quite penetrating, but in reality when we look at some spin numbers, that's probably just climbing a little bit there and sort of just stalling a little bit through the air.
Okay, so we'll have a little cut shot there, so quite a nice sort of straight shot. And that was carrying up at around the mid 260s, was it? Yeah, 264, running out 287. Looking at the data, so club head speed, ball speed there, right? So launch angle here, 8.6 degrees, and it's spun at 2,800. Okay, so the spin is a bit higher than where I would personally like it. I would like it near that 2,000 mark, or if anything, slightly under that, with a launch of maybe sort of in around the sort of 11 degree sort of area, and possibly even 12. So that, as I say, carried 264, running out at 287. If you look at the strike location and my data, so there we go. So there's my attack angle at 2.1 on the up, and the strike there was slightly low of centre. So the CG is hovering in the centre of the club, obviously further back in the head. When you strike it low of that CG, it'll pull that launch down but increase that little bit of backspin onto the ball, and that's what we've sort of seen there.
Right, so swap the tee peg now, put the orange one in, which is the taller one, so you can see now like half the ball is sat above that top edge of the driver, which for me is a bit more ideal because as I say, my attack sort of 2 on the up, you know, so that's hopefully going to get me to get my strike pattern more central or slightly higher centre on the club face. Here's what it looked like at the back of the view. So again, you can see half the ball sat above the driver. Now, if your angle of attack is on the down, so it's 2 degrees, 3 degrees down, which I find with a lot of golfers I coach, then if you tee it very high, there's always a chance you're just going to go straight under that and hit what we call a sky shot, and it's obviously just going to leave a horrible dirty mark on the top of your, possibly your brand new driver. So if you do hit down on it, when you'll be very reluctant to tee it higher because obviously you will get that sky sort of shot. So this is where obviously measuring your angle of attack on a launch monitor is quite key to determine your right tee height.
Yeah, very visually different on the ball flight. Definitely a higher ball flight there. It felt higher in the face. It felt a slight toe shot, that, to be honest. Maybe a slight high toe shot. But in terms of the visual of the flight, that looked to be higher. and it looked to be sort of carrying on going. It didn't have that sort of stall sort of effect to it as it went through the fight, so it looked like it was coming down pretty hot as well. So again, it'd be interesting to see the numbers. We'll have a look at that sort of shape of shot as well, and see what happens to the actual distance of the carry on the drive.
Okay, so there's that second shot. So there's that draw shape that I mentioned. So slightly high, slightly in the toe. Just gave me that little bit of draw there, but that was clearing over 300, carrying at 277, running out 308. So let's look at some data. So slightly quick on the club head speed, but only by sort of about less than a mile an hour. Ball speed is actually a little bit less. Like I say, caught it a little bit toe. We're gonna have a look at that. See the launch gone up, so I've struck it slightly higher in the face. My angle of attack was still the same. My angle of attack was 2.3 on the up there. So the first one was 2.1, that was 2.3. So it hasn't really changed anything there. But where I've struck it on the club face has changed my launch. Okay, so from a low hit in the face to a slightly high in the face has changed it by about 4 degrees. That's huge. I haven't changed the loft, just purely strike there. Okay, and what that does, you can see massive difference on backspin there. So I'll pull that down, you know, a good 1100 revolutions. Okay, again, not change the shaft, not change the loft, no setting change in the driver, just purely on the striking and change my tee height. Okay, and that carried out at 276. Now, bearing in mind, I've actually dropped off a little bit of ball speed. I've actually gained 12 yards of carry. Okay, so it's, the ball's come off slower, yet I've hit it further purely because I've got a more efficient launch and spin number. Yet I still haven't middled it. So let's have a look at strike on that one. Just delve in and go into strike. There we go. So there's that slightly toe strike. So I've missed middle by a fair bit there, to be honest. Again, tap 2.3 on the up. Okay, path into out slightly, which is good. See, my smash wasn't as efficient there because I didn't hit the middle of the golf club. Okay, but I gained some more distance because of the strike location. So I've hit it slightly higher to the CG. CG's hovering in here somewhere. So I've hit slightly high, and obviously with it slightly toe, gave me that little draw shape. But because it was slightly high, it pulls that bit of spin off the golf ball. Okay. As I say, I haven't changed the driver. My angle of attack stayed the same. Purely strike has changed it. 1100 revs, 12 more yard carry.
Right, so I just want to hit one more. I just want to maybe get one in the middle of the club face if I can, and maybe see what that spin does. Obviously that last one was a little bit toe strike there, but obviously performed better than the first one, which was the low strike. So higher tee is working better here. Let's give it another one. Try and hit the middle of the club face here. Oh yeah, that's the one. Yeah, felt that was middle, very solid, really nice sort of neutral ball flight there. Be interesting to see those numbers. Let's have a look at those.
Right, so here we go. So 162, better ball speed there, probably because I struck it better. Launch 10.8, okay, spinning at the 2000 mark, and that carried 279, so I'm squeezing even more out of this, running out roughly 309. So let's have a little look at strike on that. There we go. So again, it's a middle strike. It's pretty much middle. I'd probably prefer that to be in that top left-hand corner, that middle box. That would be ideal because that'll just launch it a fraction higher and then just drop a little bit more spin off it. But again, 2 degrees on the up. Okay, smash not too bad there. It's getting a bit more efficient. But you can see the ball speed creeps up there. I'm squeezing more out of it and controlling the spin. The one that spun at 2,800, that strike was literally like 2 grooves further down, just slightly to this bottom section, and you can see that's changing the spin by a good 600-700 revs there. Hitting it on the high toe side, dropping it off 1100 revs. So it's huge change of spin just on strike.
Okay, so interesting video there in terms of tee height and where on the face we're actually striking it. So I think the key thing here is maybe if you need to hook up with a good coach or fitter, get somebody on GC2 or even a good launch monitor that can measure sort of angle of attack and see what your angle of attack is. Is it down? Is it level? Is it on the up? Because that will make a difference of where you tee this golf ball. Now you may have already found that sort of right area just by playing and seeing strike yourself and not actually measuring angle of attack. But I think, you know, probably looking at those numbers there and those slight changes of strike, how much that can change your spin. Okay, so I think it's key to get the right tee height to suit your angle of attack and to get your strike from this sort of center section slightly into a higher position. Okay, anything down in this bottom section here he's going to be losing a lot of yards and a lot of penetration on that ball flight. Okay, so interesting little video there. As I say, I've not changed anything to do with the club here. That's purely strike, purely tee height that's changed those numbers there, and it's changed it, you know, good 12, 13, 14 yards difference of the carry there. Okay, so if you like the video, please do subscribe to my channel. Get notified of more videos coming soon. I'm going to try and get a lot more out onto my channel as much as I can around my coaching, and do comment down below this video if you found this interesting. What tee height are you guys using? You know, where do you feel your angle of attack is, your strike pattern, where do you get your best results from? Okay, thanks for watching guys. Please do subscribe, as I say, and hopefully we'll catch up with you all very soon.